What do we have at the foundation of the reading? Five of Pentacles, Taurus energy at the foundation of the reading. Okay, the message that I've been hearing for the past few days is that your success is a direct result of how bad they treated you. It's as if you were made to believe that there were certain things that you could not achieve in life, that there was only so far you could get. You're now starting to see that the universe used these attacks to your benefit to ultimately push you to discover a certain kind of magic that you have inside of you. Now, this is very much one of these situations where when you enter into this new chapter of your life, you begin to look at the enemies, you begin to look at all the people that tried to stand in your way or just didn't believe in you, and you almost want to thank them. But what you have to understand here is the universe was killing two birds with one stone, because on one hand, you are now becoming the person you were always meant to become. And on the other hand, these individuals are now being brought to a certain kind of judgment based on the fact that you are finding your power. See, the Five of Pentacles here is the energy that they wanted to keep you in, right? Woe is me kind of energy. Five of Pentacles is the energy of a lack mindset. I'll never be able to achieve this because I don't have this, I don't have that. That's the energy that these individuals wanted you to stay in for life. And yes, there are some situations where people don't actually know that they're doing this to you until you begin to succeed at something and they're not around to celebrate with you. And what I mean by this is a lot of you are starting to realize that unless you extract certain energies from your life, people, places, things, behavioral patterns, mindsets, right, the lack mindset, you will not be able to achieve said success. And when it comes to people and matters regarding the levels to spiritual awakening, you'll be surprised at how much people will go out of their way to try and hold you back. It's almost like there's a switch inside of them. Something just begins to erupt from the depths of their soul, a certain kind of evil. There are people in this world that will throw away their whole entire life to stop you from achieving what you actually came here to achieve in this life cycle. What do we have at the sacral, please? Queen of Swords, air energy at the sacral. Now, I would say that the hardest part about these sorts of situations when they begin to unfold in your life is actually coming to terms with the fact that this has been taking place. And this is something that I always mention in my readings. It's like seeing people for who they really are. And that in and of itself can be one of the most challenging things that you ever have to navigate, especially when it's people incredibly close to you. But it will be the people closest to you. You never know how hard life can be until you have a family who not only wants to see you fail, but is actively working to make that failure come to pass. But you have to take it as a sign that your victory is written in the stars. When there's so much energy, time, focus going into stopping you from moving in a certain direction, or there's efforts that are actively trying to wear you down to make it more difficult for you, it should raise an alarm in you, especially when it's something that's calling you from the depths of your soul. This is very revealing. But again, Queen of Swords, it's hard to accept. But I'm hearing that you need to understand that you have something inside of you that you need to protect. And it has to do with this direction that you're being called to go in. Now, I just want to be clear here that this direction is not going to be a pipe dream. It's not going to be something that you've always wanted to do that is not in alignment with your highest good and path. This is something that is calling from the depths of your soul, that when you think about this thing, when you dream about this thing, you see it, you feel it impacting the world in a positive way. And impacting the world. Now, that sounds like a big statement, and it is. But all you have to do is impact the world inside your community. You can impact the world by having one conversation with another person, a conversation that creates a ripple effect. It's like you send out an energetic shockwave when you're able to function within the realms of what I am picking up here for all of you. So this Queen of Swords, again, is needing you to be very honest with yourself and accept the truth that is being presented to you. But it's also letting you know that you have a responsibility to protect this. Eight of Wands, Sag energy on the bottom of the deck. Now, this is further highlighting what I said about their treatment towards you actually pushing you into the success, right? And the need for a lot of you to gain the perspective that you need to truly understand how this works. So what does that mean? Let me simplify that. If you're under some sort of attack, okay, you feel that people are holding you back, this and that and the other, and you're just sitting there dealing with it, you need to start self-empowering and pushing forward despite the actions, the weapons that they are forming against you. Because what you're going to see is that once you begin to self-empower, you're going to slingshot toward this success. So to further break that down, the weapons that are being formed against you are the literal fuel to help you elevate. You need to use that as confirmation that that is the direction you need to go. Don't even question it. Just charge in that direction. See, when you begin to try and question it, right? When you begin to face off with these people, they can have a way of getting in your head, especially if there's more than one person that are doing this to you, which I feel for most of you there is. You begin to feel like you're the common denominator and all these people are outvoting you and your opinions, so to speak. So don't even put yourself in a situation that is going to see you debating with these people, because you'll never win, right? It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you do. They have a one-track mind when it comes to you. What do we have at the solar plexus, please? Perfect. Page of Wands, fire energy at the solar plexus. Now, the Page of Wands here is speaking about this new beginning. You have some sort of fire inside of you that you need to see through. It's that inner calling. It's one of these situations as well where the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. I just heard very clearly, if you don't act on it, you will regret it later on in life. And typically this is going to happen when you're quite a lot older and you're reflecting back over your life. You just don't want to have regrets. I feel that this is so important. And it doesn't always mean that something has to be a complete success, because you just don't know what else it may lead you to. What it really comes down to is just having full faith in the divine that the direction you're being led to go, despite how it unfolds, is the direction that you must go. You could go down that path, not see the success that you were hoping for, but all of a sudden another door opens for you. You go through that door and then another door opens for you. And then ultimately you are where you're supposed to be. When you can start living your life with this level of faith, you will begin to move mountains in your life. And though I can't speak for every single one of you in your situation, when you follow faith blindly, and though things may not turn out exactly the way you thought they were going to, but then that other door opens up for you, they always seem to turn out better ultimately in the end. Even though you may go through some trials and tribulations along the way, you may be sent in another direction and have a detour, and it can be frustrating, and you could be shaking your fist at the sky. But when you finally reach that destination, you look back and you go, this is way better. It makes so much more sense for me in my life. So however that really resonates with all of you, I feel that with only 3 cards on the table right now, the main message here is going to be faith and following that inner compass. You know, our whole entire world, our environments, this third density that we all live in is really just a collection of distractions. Everywhere we turn, everything we interface with is presenting us with a choice every moment, just about every breath we take. This is why it's very important to also find yourself in a kind of stillness without sounding too cliche here, taking time out to just listen to nothing but the breeze and Mother Nature around you is very important. It can be very calibrating for your energy, especially when you're feeling confused. There's really no excuse why you can't take the time out to do that when you're having a difficult time trying to gain focus or make a very important decision in your life. But again, the way this world is constructed, we're somehow led to believe that even that takes too much time to do. And I know that all of you have experienced that one before, right? And it also seems that the more life moves into the future, this becomes even more and more so, right? I can't go sit in nature under a tree. I don't have time for that. Need to watch out for that stuff. Even if you're just taking a few minutes out of every day just to catch yourself, remember who you are, right? Remember that you are a spiritual being having a human existence can make all the difference. And then right on the bottom of the deck, we have the sun card. Okay, Leo energy. So this is the most high vibrational card in the tarot. You're under the sun. You're in what seems to be Mother Nature here. You're just reconnecting with source, right? I'm also getting a message here about taking things in stride, just being more easygoing with the way things go at the moment. Don't allow rejection or a no, or maybe something not turning out exactly the way you thought it was going to trigger a negative response from you. A simple, oh, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be, can truly make all of the difference. It's just something about the energy right now, the astrology, where I feel that this is something that Source wants us all to focus on more than usual. Because like I mentioned, that rejection or things not turning out the way you thought they were going to could lead to another door opening for you. However, you could certainly self-sabotage by the way you take a rejection or a no. Just take a deep breath, step back, and think about things from this higher vantage point, right? Maybe there's something else at play here. Okay, I'm going to trust things are unfolding the way that they're supposed to. Even though this may be a complete drag right now, I'm just going to go with the flow. The more that you can program your mind to work like this, the faster things are going to manifest for you. See, the speed by which we are able to manifest something is typically a direct result by the way we interface with our own lives in those moments leading up to that manifestation. If we place resistance on our path, then it's like the manifestation moves further and further away from us. It's almost like you're hot, you're cold, right? But this very calm, easygoing kind of temperament is the key. What do we have of the heart, please, Spirit? Wow, I just switched decks, right? So here's the other deck, sun's right there. I switch decks and the sun comes out. So what a confirmation, all right? See how on this sun card, it's a little different? It's like there you are, you're just a child of the universe. You're just kind of relaxing, going with the flow. Now the sun card is also an energy of complete success. It speaks about some sort of joyous outcome, okay? But again, it's all influenced by the way you're moving right now. So everything I just said has been absolutely confirmed by this sun coming out right there at the heart chakra. Now, the significance of it coming out right there at that heart chakra position is also quite profound because it speaks about an energy being very peaceful, being very open, tolerant, right? You know, for a lot of you, I feel that you're being faced with certain disruptions in your life right now that you might have reacted badly to in the past, which makes it make sense, especially when it comes up right before a manifestation. It's like you've got this thing on the way and the universe is like, okay, looking good. Let's bring a couple of things up for review here because we just need to make sure that you're good to go. We don't want you self-sabotaging once this manifestation comes in. So we need to make sure that you have done the work that you've needed to do so you're able to actually hold on to this thing and see the success that you truly deserve for all the effort that you have put into making this thing a reality. So what does that mean? Well, it means that things could come up to the surface that have created disruptions for you in the past. People, mindsets, behavioral patterns. This is how we're usually going to see it, right? Maybe there's something that you have stopped doing. Maybe there's a person that you have stopped allowing into your life, but things are going pretty good now. So you say to yourself, oh, you know, maybe I can let them back in, or maybe I can try that again. And, you know, they're little kinds of tests, right? It's like the universe is strength testing you. So just be mindful of this because this is something that I feel always happens. I just got a ringing in my ear when I said that. Yeah, it's like right before we get these big breakthroughs, the universe is going to use enemies from the past, demons from the past, right? And I say demons because behavioral patterns and mindsets that don't serve our highest good can fall under the umbrella of a low form kind of possession, right? So a perfect example is a kind of addiction, right? That's a low form kind of possession. It's a spirit. It's a demonic spirit that can consume people, big or small. So that's where the term demon is actually relevant when it comes to these sorts of situations, demons from the past. So again, whether that's big or small, you just need to be very mindful of this right now, because sometimes those very small kinds of demons from the past can add up with other little demons from the past, and it can ultimately create a complete blockage for you. So if you know your demons, then you truly know yourself. We all have little things that can stir a kind of weakness in us. I mentioned in a reading recently about knowing your own kryptonite, right? Superman had kryptonite. That was his weakness. But if you're honest with yourself about what your weakness is, again, person, place even, thing, mindset, behavioral pattern, then you're really going to begin to see massive movement in your life. I believe that all of us have had these little sorts of spirits and or demons assigned to us almost from the moment of inception. And the thing is that a lot of these things attach themselves to us in our childhood, in our environments, right? I mean, this can go quite deep here because you can start attributing this to generational karma. Generational karma is a sort of spirit that lives in your family lineage. It's very easy to see how these sorts of spirits can consume whole family lineages. It's like the same situations hold the next generation back. That's generational karma. The people that don't do the work to actually break out of that sort of bondage will get trapped within that generational karma and pass it along to the next generation. Now, not only is this one of the most difficult things to actually overcome in your life, because simply gaining the perspective to see this takes an act of God. How many of you out there have dealt with these situations where it's so clear to you, but then you have family members or friends who are dealing with this and they have no idea what you're talking about, what you're on about. It's like a different language to them. It just doesn't compute, right? This is a really good example, I feel, of how we can see certain NPCs in our life, right? Which is a term that I use quite a lot, and we see it thrown around inside spiritual communities. NPCs, it stands for non-player characters. These are people that are essentially controlled by the Matrix, right? When you think about the Matrix theory, that we're living inside a simulation, whether you believe this or not, it doesn't matter. It's just a way of compartmentalizing these certain energies, right? So NPCs are people that are seemingly controlled by some sort of system, right? Some sort of simulation, some sort of matrix. And non-player characters are the characters inside a video game that we can never be. We can't control those characters, right? They're the characters that are moving around inside the video game on a set trajectory. It's always the same. They're always just going in a circle. You know exactly where they're going to move in the game. That's what an NPC is here. And these are the people who feel slighted by you, right? There's something within them that tells them that you are the enemy, that you need to be destroyed in some capacity, that there's something wrong with you, not them. It's all you. I feel that there's a number of you out there that have done so much work on yourself now, and it was actually that sort of idea, that sort of dynamic, let's just say, that pushed you into a kind of awakening. You saw things a different way than these people you may have been dealing with, but you were that common denominator. You were the odd one out, right? So you used the process of elimination. You said, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of work on myself, because I feel that in my heart of hearts here that what I am seeing, what I'm feeling is correct, but I want to be 100% sure. So you go through the process of a full top-down spiritual awakening. You just start changing a lot of things in your life to better your circumstances, just self-improve on every level and every sector of your life. You just do it all. And not only do you still have the mindset, but it's even clearer to you now. And you have a kind of evidence for yourself now. You've put all this work in to see if what you're feeling is right or if you're just going crazy, right? And no, you're not. So we can see how these NPCs can actually drive us to the point of becoming the greatest version of ourselves that we could ever be. They may be on a set trajectory and have no idea the depth of your mind and how you're interfacing with your world. But in some respects, if it wasn't for them and the way that they were functioning in and around your life, you wouldn't have become this new spiritual warrior that you're becoming. And now we begin to see how the universe just has this genius way of functioning around our lives. Nothing is by chance. You're like, oh, I had to be in that situation to gather this piece of wisdom, to awaken to who I really am. Yes, this is absolutely very true. A lot of you weren't born into family lineages that had your back and supported you. A lot of you were incarnated into very difficult circumstances, saw you facing some really serious challenges to get you to where you are now. And some of you are at the beginning of all of this, right? So my readings are always going to speak to different groups of people depending on where you're at on the timeline. But the general message is all the same. Just in some cases, you're still really dealing with this now. And this message is to help you awaken to what is taking place here. And for others of you, this is serving as a confirmation that, yes, you are right. Keep going. What do we have at the throat, please, Spirit? Wow. Again, Five of Pentacles right there at the throat. Five of Pentacles, Taurus energy. So this is really following what I said about a lot of you being born into these very challenging circumstances. You always felt like the oddball, right? Like there was something off about you, right? You never really felt at home, I feel. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're always looking for home outside of you. But when you go through this process here, home becomes a feeling that you find within you. Home is something that you can experience just about anywhere as long as you have that inner knowing, that connection with Source, with Spirit, with the divine, with God. Whoever you look to for your supreme being. When I say God in my readings, I don't speak about any one religion. I just speak about the point of inception. That's how I perceive God. Usually when I even visualize it in my mind, I see it as a single point of light. I just see it as an energetic kind of hub that we all originated at. But whatever the case, however you want to think about that is perfectly fine. It's open to interpretation. At the end of the day, it's just a way for us to compartmentalize a kind of higher power that has got our back and is ultimately trying to navigate us through our everyday waking life. Now, this Five of Pentacles is also coming out at the throat chakra here. Whenever I get the Five of Pentacles at the throat, this to me can be highlighting that lack mindset, a certain kind of relationship you keep with yourself. That voice inside your head that tells you that you don't have what it takes to do something, or you can't do this, you can't do that, right? And a lot of those voices have their origin. And I feel for a lot of you, that origin is a projection. Maybe somebody said something to you when you were younger that really stuck with you. And it just unearths itself from the deep recesses of your mind in the 11th hour when you need all the confidence that you can possibly pull to get a certain breakthrough in your life. That's how I see the Five of Pentacles at the throat chakra. It's that inner dialogue. And overcoming that inner dialogue is also another huge challenge, but it can be done by instead observing it as opposed to acting on it when it unearths itself. So how do you go about observing it instead of acting on it? Well, a lot of you have heard that voice before. You've been in the middle of trying to succeed at something, working on something, and you just give up. You say, I guess that's not for me. I'm going to go ahead and just give it up, right? But when you just stop for a moment and you observe it, right? You hear that voice coming up from the deep recesses and it begins to irritate your spirit like it does. Instead of acting on it, instead of physically influencing your motion inside your everyday waking life, you observe it and you say to yourself, I hear that voice, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense with what I'm doing, physically speaking right now, because here I am working away at something because I had enough confidence to actually get this far. But then this foreign voice, this voice that makes me feel like it belongs to me, but really it doesn't. It's something that was just placed inside of me, is trying to tell me to stop. So you observe it. You recognize it when it comes up, and it always comes up at the same time. This is the first sign that it is most definitely foreign and it was a projection, right? Because again, think in that moment, okay, where did this come from? Why do I even have that? Doesn't even make sense within the structure of what I'm doing right now. If you can begin to analyze that voice, you will begin to break it down over time. Do not act on it. push through it. And this is easier said than done, but it must be done if you want that ultimate breakthrough, okay? Because it's on the other side of whatever fear that projection is trying to bring into your life in that very moment where you are going to see that breakthrough. And when you break through that energy, when you get to the other side and you reap the rewards for your efforts from going through that energy, there's just no greater feeling. What do we have at the third eye, please? Three of Swords, Libra energy at the third eye. Now, this is following what we're saying perfectly, because this is highlighting something inside of you that needs to be healed. And I feel that for a lot of you, it has to do with this limiting belief. You know, a really basic example that I can give you so all of you know how to apply this to your own life is, let's say there's a child who would always go around telling the adults in their life about this dream that they want to achieve when they're a grown-up. And one day, one of the authority in their life, one of the adults tells them, oh, be quiet, you're never going to do that. You'll never be able to achieve that, right? Just something that just really has a deep impact on this child. You know, maybe that adult was caught up in their own life in that moment and didn't fully understand the consequences of their words, their actions towards this child. And it created this kind of imprint in that child. It's very confusing for them because all of a sudden they're feeling something that maybe they've never felt before. It really broke their spirit. This is along the lines of what I'm picking up here. When you're a child, as you know, we're so impressionable. It's like we have this sort of computer software running, right? And everything that we're experiencing as we're a child is ultimately setting the preferences for that computer software. And so as this child begins to develop and grow into an adult, a lot of what they experienced in their childhood is playing out now in their everyday waking life. We all know how this can absolutely be the case with relationships in our life. You know, we've all heard we attract our parents, right? Our mother, our father. And this is definitely the case when it comes to having experienced traumatic situations with our parents, our mother and our father, especially when we're dealing with individuals that have this sort of narcissistic spirit. You know, a lot of you didn't even realize what a narcissist was until you became an adult and realized that you were attracting the same kinds of problems into your life that you witnessed when you were younger. And what this is the universe putting you in situations where you're being asked to heal those certain things, to recognize those certain things. This is also something that I quite often speak about in readings, right? We realize that our life is this sort of repeating pattern of events. And it just gets to a point where we can no longer deny that we are being faced with the same situations over and over again. And this is because the universe is saying, hey, we need to heal this, okay? This is something that you picked up on your path. Yeah, you didn't have a choice, okay? But you healing this is all a part of your life mission down there. We get that you dealt with some really challenging situations, but rather than feed them anymore, let's go ahead and fix that. Let's heal that. Let's get rid of this limiting belief, this poverty mindset, this little voice that tells you that you're not able to do something when in fact, that thing that you are being guided to do is the exact thing that we have assigned you to do in that life cycle. It's during these kinds of awakenings do you say to yourself, okay, I'm being held back from going in that direction by this voice. This voice was implanted by this situation, these people, whatever it may be. What does that say about those people or those situations or those events? There's something not quite right there. And when you can connect this to individuals who have this kind of narcissistic spirit, which is a form of possession, then it all begins to make sense. It's like those people gave themselves over to that kind of spirit, and now you can see how they're very much trying to spread this spiritual disease to you, and you don't see it until you've gotten on in life a bit, right? What do we have at the crown, please, Spirit? Okay, too many cards. Page of Wands again. 2 5 of Pentacles, 2 Page of Wands. Okay, so this is interesting because in this Page of Wands, we see this character back here, and they've got this torch. It's like they're trying to take that fire away, right? That fire in your belly away. But then here, you're walking away from that energy now. You see a truth that you didn't see before. You realize that in order to have this new beginning, this energy needs to be left behind. And see how you look sad, you look down, right? Like, I can't believe it, right? Because you accepted the truth. Even though it hurt, you still can't believe it, right? There's a huge emphasis here on this new beginning, okay? Pages are all about beginnings. But look at what you need to overcome. 2 5 of Pentacles, 3 of Swords here. Being honest with yourself. And following this inner compass, right? You're not wrong here. You need to know that. Whatever that means for you. But the process by which you self-improve, like I mentioned, right, to just confirm to yourself that your thinking is right, is always going to serve you with a kind of evidence, also a kind of encouragement, and the needed confidence to push forward on this path, okay? In other words, to circle back to what I said, when faced with resistance on this path, do all the work you possibly can so you have all the evidence that you personally need that you are going in the correct direction. Because that in and of itself is the process by which you will trigger your ultimate awakening. I'm hearing something here about an ego death. Now, the ego death is always something that we have to go through. See, the ego death is really just the experience of losing a kind of identity that has been placed or pushed upon you by external circumstances or just the way you were programmed, like we said. But when you're able to finally shake free of that certain identity, you lead yourself to a shift in your own psyche. What do we have at the foundation, please, Spirit? Nine of Cups, Pisces energy at the foundation of the reading. Now, the Nine of Cups from this deck speaks about an energy that is unsupportive and essentially taking you for granted, right? That Five of Pentacles here. Instead of encouraging you, instead of supporting you to go in this certain direction, whatever that may be for you, they instead form these kinds of weapons against you, which weapons can be words, right? To make it more difficult for you to move in that particular direction. But the sooner that you begin to recognize this and understand that things had to unfold exactly like this because it's actually written in your mission statement, the sooner it will begin to all make sense to you. What do we have? The Sacral, please, Spirit? Hangman, Bifrons, Pisces energy again at the Sacral. Okay, so the Hangman speaks about perspective, and it also speaks about an energy of feeling like a victim, right? So it's like these energies want you to be in this energy of woe is me, right? Because they know if they can keep you in this energy, then you won't be able to achieve anything, right? You can't achieve a whole lot when you're in an energy of victimization, because this means you're giving your power over to an external force that you're essentially waiting on to set things right in your life when you need to set things right yourself, despite what this opposing energy has to say about it or think about it. This is you taking back the power in your own life and again, stripping yourself of the identity that they placed upon you, right? That is not going to serve you moving forward on your path from this very moment. This is also, Queen of Swords, you starting to see these kinds of energies as traitors in your life. Right? This is that energy of, man, I can't believe it. It's true. What I've always felt, what I've always known about them was true. And this always feels like just, well, at first, it almost feels like waking up inside of a nightmare, you know? You start to see people in a completely different way. You always had that inner knowing, like we mentioned, but now it's real. Now it's here. Now it's here. And I feel that that right there really speaks about where a lot of your minds are right now. Now it's here. What do we have at the solar plexus, please, Spirit? Page of Pentacles, Earth energy at the solar plexus. The Page of Pentacles here, right underneath this Page of Wands, is further emphasizing this illumination you're having now. This is that point in the journey where you've moved on from these situations, whatever that means for you, and you're looking back. You're seeing all these different times throughout your life where maybe you missed out on opportunities, or you start to see that these individuals had their hands in everything you were trying to manifest, right? You start to see the common denominators and how active they were in holding you back. And it isn't until a lot of you truly see this and cut these energies out of your life, or just stop them from being able to access you in the way they once did, do you truly start to see growth in your life. You know, for a lot of you, these are individuals that you shared every single move of your life with. Now, all of a sudden, you're not doing that, and boom, growth everywhere. That can't be denied. Even though in the beginning, a lot of you will try and make up excuses for them because it's almost overwhelming. It's mind-blowing. But eventually, you start to see things for what they really are. But it says a lot about you, because even when you are faced with the truth by the universe, you still want to try and see the goodness in these people. And the hardest part about all this is realizing that there really isn't a whole lot of goodness inside of them. Because when you think about the trajectory of your life path and how truly important it is to the greater dynamics of the universe, and how each one of you plays this incremental role in evolution, you begin to look at these energies completely different. They're on a completely different team than you. You are a soldier of evolution. They are soldiers of de-evolution. It really comes down to you realizing that they are standing in your way. And when you think about the fact that you were sent here on a mission, this can be quite serious. What do we have at the heart, please, Spirit? Four of Swords, Libra energy at the heart. So this Four of Swords from this deck is speaking about an energy that's lacking in progress. So very similar to this Page of Pentacles, very heavy energy here, just a very slow moving energy. This really speaks about the things that can take place behind your back without you even knowing it. You can be actively working on something, like a manifestation, right? Not realizing that there's people working overtime behind your back to make sure that that manifestation that you're so focused on doesn't come to pass. And then we have the Seven of Swords. Right there it says knowledge of good and evil. Okay, so again, putting further emphasis on the illumination, right? You understanding, right? Good and evil. I mean, really, what better way to compartmentalize this energy? You have a mission, you're working for the greatest good of the collective in evolution, and they also have a mission in stopping you from working for the greatest good of the collective. Knowledge of good and evil. You know, in some cases, some of these people don't even realize they're doing this. Doesn't that person back there kind of look oblivious, like, wait, I don't understand, right? It's like they've just completely given over to a reprobate mind. They don't even know what they're doing. There's just something inside of them that is telling them to do these things to you. I mean, this is flat out betrayal, okay? They're traitors. But in their mind, it's like they can justify it. They think that they have a right to do this to you, which is really just them trying to play God in your life. And right on the bottom of the deck, we have the Tower, Mars, Aries, Scorpio energy. So we have this angry looking little cherub, and he's got this scroll in his hand. It's like he's just gotten a memo about all of this, okay? And the Tower speaks about you bringing a destruction to a false security in your life. This is you really understanding everything we're saying here and putting it into the context of your life, right? This is a revelation, okay? This is you waking up to your higher calling, shattering the illusions, and going directly through this fear. What do we have in the throat, please, Spirit? Wow. What a way to follow that message, the strength card, okay? So here we are. We see that little cherub, right? Now he's being lifted up. That's you, right? Now he's being lifted up by all these other little cherubs. And it says right there, delivery from those who seek to oppress brings victory, right? Here's the oppressing energy. Always feeling left out in the cold by these energies, like you're the oddball. There's something wrong with you. There's more of them than there are of you, so it must be you, right? I just heard very clearly, and I've never said this before, I just heard it takes one angel to take down 5 demons. Now, this can really speak about the black sheep theory, right? The person who is born into a family lineage who is supposed to trigger awakening. There's only ever one. There's never 2. There's never 3. There's only ever one. There may have been ones that came before you that didn't get the job done, but you are the only one. You are the chosen one. That's what that is. What do we have at the third eye, please, Spirit? What do we have at the third eye, Spirit? Wow. Wheel of Fortune, Sag energy at the third eye, Metatron, advancement and progress, teaches, guides, and records events in the book of life, the recording angel. Okay, so this was all supposed to go down exactly like this, as I mentioned. They were supposed to oppress you because it leads to your ultimate awakening. That awakening sets you out on your path to becoming the black sheep, to becoming the chosen one, whatever that means for you. And the Wheel of Fortune here is speaking directly about your destiny, this life cycle that you are now entering into. It also represents good fortune coming your way for a lifetime of hard work that you have had to put into this situation. A lot of your dreams, a lot of your manifestations are on the other side of this. This is what you have to go through to get to that. This is speaking about this vision that you have for your life, right? This big picture vision, that thing that was given to you by source. It was put there for a reason. This is that vision coming to pass. Underneath that 3 of Swords, which is you healing your family lineage by way of you, right? It's not you healing other people. You heal you. All right, what do we have at the crown to close this out, please, Spirit? Wow. The sun again. The vivifying God, restoration of life, protection from adversaries. So we have 2 suns in this deck. Again, the sun is the most high vibrational card in the tarot. And when you get it twice, it speaks about a huge level of success and happiness coming into your life. Not only do we have the sun right there in the center of the reading, but we have it at the closing position as well. And we began the reading with the 5 of Pentacles, right? Which may as well be the opposite energy of the sun. This is an energy of lack. This is an energy of complete success. And see how it's right underneath the Page of Wands? This is how you attain this success, by walking away from everything that is not serving your highest good. Person, place, thing, mindset, behavioral pattern. Place it as it fits. For some of you, it's all of those things. The Strength, Wheel of Fortune, and Sun, back-to-back closing out the reading, is very clear, because this is you harnessing that inner strength, which turns this Wheel of Fortune in your favor and ultimately leads to this Sun energy. And isn't it interesting how we were speaking about the need for you to get out in nature, find yourself in peace so you can process certain obstacles you may be dealing with in your life. And then we get it at the very end. It's like saying you need to calibrate yourself to this sun energy, and ultimately it comes to pass. And that's Manifestation 101. When you match your vibration to the manifestation that you are trying to pull into your life. And that's what we have here with these 2 sun cards. Very clear. So however this shows up in your life, I certainly hope that this provides you all with something very useful to help support you on your path at this current time. All right, this is what I have for all of you. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. And there's a glitch in the YouTube app right now. So if you're trying to press like on the video and it's not allowing you to like the video, do me a favor and just drop a heart or a comment, and that will work just the same, okay? But whatever the case, I would like to extend my gratitude for all of your donations and support on my channel, your personal reading bookings, the purchases that you have all made at my online store, and also thank you to everybody who's joined the membership side of my channel. But in closing, I would like to know how this reading resonated with you. So let me know in the comment section down below, again, by dropping a heart and or a comment, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care.